From even more severe weather over the next few days, to Typhoon Jangmi closing in on Japan, to more tropical activity likely in the eastern Pacific Ocean later this week, this is your Chonkita weather forecast. First of all, look at our current day 2 severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. You can see right now we have a slight risk of severe weather mainly across western Kansas and to western Nebraska, all the way into northeastern Colorado. Our tornado risk for tomorrow is mainly across the Nebraska Panhandle into west central Kansas and northeastern Colorado, where we have a 2% tornado risk in the area. We could see an isolated tornado or two tomorrow, but the tornado risk doesn't look as high as it was yesterday. For our wind risk, we have a large 15% wind risk across western Kansas into northeastern Colorado, all the way into western Nebraska, and we have a 5% damaging wind risk all the way from the central Great Plains all the way into portions of the southeast United States, and we currently have no Sig 1 area. And for our hail risk for tomorrow, we have a 50% hail risk across western Nebraska, western Kansas into northeastern Colorado, and we do have a small Sig 1 area across the Nebraska Panhandle into northeastern Colorado, where you can see some hail from the size of ping pong balls to baseballs tomorrow, and our 5% hail risk extends again from the central Great Plains into portions of the southeast United States. First of all, look at the severe weather outlook for the day 3 outlook. This is for Tuesday. You can see we have a slight risk of severe weather from eastern Montana and northeastern Wyoming into western South Dakota and western North Dakota. And we have a marginal risk of severe weather mainly across eastern New Mexico and the western Texas Panhandle all the way into eastern Montana and eastern North Dakota. And we have another marginal risk mainly across portions of the southeast United States. For our probabilistic outlooks, you can see 50% risk area in the slight risk area, and we have a 5% risk area in the marginal risks. No Sig 1 or Sig 2 areas have been added. If we go down to the discussion here, you can see we're mainly talking about severe wind gusts and some isolated large hail. But if we actually scroll down some more, you can see we're talking about there could be a couple of tornadoes, so probably a 2% or 5% tornado risk as of now. But I will keep you guys updated on future forecasts and make sure to pay attention to future SPC outlooks. Next, look at the excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. For our day 2 outlook, for tomorrow, you can see we have a few areas to watch for some isolated flash flooding. We have one area across extreme western Texas into southeastern New Mexico. We have another one from north central Oklahoma into central Nebraska and northeastern Colorado. And we have another one across northwestern Montana. So if you're in any of those areas, you can see a few flash flood warnings in your area tomorrow. But it doesn't look very significant, and the probabilities are very low right now, between 5 to 15% within your area. Next, look at the day 3 excessive rainfall outlook. You can see we currently have a slight risk of excessive rainfall, mainly across extreme western Texas, into portions of western Texas as well, into much of eastern New Mexico, and the marginal risk of flash flooding extends from western Texas and much of New Mexico all the way into the Dakotas. There, mainly in the western and central areas of the Dakotas. If you're in the slight risk of excessive rainfall, you could see some scattered flash flooding, maybe significant in some isolated spots. If you're in the marginal risk, again, you can see some isolated flash flooding, but it doesn't look like it will be anything significant as of now, but I will provide you with future updates. And also make sure to check the Weather Prediction Center's website for future updates on these outlooks. Now, we do have some updates on the area to watch of the Eastern Pacific Ocean. You can see now that it has an X by it, and that actually means that the area of low pressure has formed. So right now it has a 10% chance of development for the next 48 hours. That's pretty low, but there's still a small chance I could do something, but for the next 7 days, which is between around 48 to 160 hours from now, it has a 90% chance of development. So sometime from the middle to the end of this week, this will likely form into a tropical depression, and there could even become a tropical storm, or it could even become a hurricane in the future. So make sure you check the National Hurricane Center for future updates, and also watch my weather forecast for some future updates. And you can see we have a new area to watch out here. No chance of development within the next 40 hours. Within the next 7 days, it does have a low chance of development. Those probabilities will probably go up as we get closer to the system forming, so make sure you continue to watch my weather forecast and check the National Hurricane Center for some future updates. And next, look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's official forecast for Jangmi. You can see right now it is located just to the east of Taiwan by a few hundred miles, and is quickly approaching the islands owned by Japan there, just to the southwest of mainland Japan, to the south of mainland Japan. Right now it's at 75 knots, which is 85 miles an hour, and it's likely around its peak strength now, as you see. But even as it passes over those islands, it will likely bring some typhoon force sustained winds have around 80, maybe as low as 75 miles an hour, but that's about the range you'll be looking in. And as it heads towards mainland Japan, you can see it will still be a significant tropical storm, with winds sustained around 65 to 70 miles an hour. Tokyo could even get some sustained winds around 60 to 65 miles an hour. So if you're in Tokyo, it looks like you could get some of the worst of a storm. We can see a landfall on one of those islands, especially near the city of Kadena, and we can see another landfall just to the south of Tokyo there, while it's a weaker extratropical storm. But this does look like it will do a lot of damage and cause some significant flooding in Japan, so make sure you're prepared now, because this is basically the final day of preparations you will have in mainland Japan. Next, look at the satellite imagery for Jangmi. You can see right now it's located a few hundred miles to the east of Taiwan, and the outer bands of Jangmi are already impacting those islands to the southwest of Japan. That includes the city of Kadena, so you're likely seeing some heavy rainfalls and flash flooding already, but the worst of the storm has not arrived because it has strengthened again to a high-end category 1 typhoon. You can see there's some convection wrapping around the whole center now, with some thunderstorms popping up on the north side of the eyeball, so the eyeball's almost complete now. You can see the eye is pretty big. I measured earlier and it was about like 85 to 95 miles wide. That's pretty big. And if you look at the satellite imagery loop here, you can see that it's been organizing over the past few hours. It's been looking pretty good on satellite imagery, actually, and you can see there's been some thunderstorms popping up, and there's been some more convection wrapping around the center. You can see the nice inflow coming in from the southwest, and there's some outflow going into the northeast that could bring some heavy rain to Japan before it even arrives. So make sure if you're in mainland Japan, you're prepared for this storm. But overall, it looks pretty organized just based off the satellite imagery. Finally, looking at the satellite imagery for our Eastern Pacific area of interest, you can see right now it's just a disorganized area of thunderstorms. There is an area of low pressure in there, but over the next 3 to 5 days it will gradually organize, and eventually by the middle to end of this week it will likely become a tropical depression or tropical storm, as I said. Looking at the satellite loop for this, you can see that it has been rotating slowly. It hasn't really been organizing a ton, but it's been organizing slightly. So it is looking decent on satellite, but it's not looking super good as of right now. That's because right now it's just, again, a disorganized area of low pressure. It will gradually strengthen and organize over the next few days. So There's no land areas impacted by this, but still watch out for some future updates on the system from the National Hurricane Center and on my weather forecasts. Anyways, that is the end of today's weather forecast. If you're in Japan, your preparations should already be done, as the system will begin to impact you sometime within the next 24 to 36 hours. So I will not be making any more Japan preparation sections in my videos. If you're in the impacted areas for the severe weather tomorrow or on Tuesday, make sure you pay attention to Storm Prediction Center forecast and for my weather forecast for future updates, as we could see some outlooks upgraded or some SIG 1 or SIG 2 areas and in future outlooks. And I will see you on the next weather forecast. Goodbye!